Hey, hey, how's it going?
Going good. How about yourself?
Great. I love your background.
I was like, I need to be in the office with that, not with the
Yes.
dog in the room and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. I love it. Your branding is on point. So, just to give everybody a little context for today, is just want to welcome everybody to the Today Spotlight. And I've been just really, really excited for this particular spotlight with Jennifer. And if you're here, it's probably because you know what it feels like to work really hard, but also wonder when that breakthrough is coming. And if you've ever questioned whether you're cut out for the business or if consistency like actually will really ever pay off, you're definitely going to love Jennifer's story here today. So let me introduce you to Jennifer Titus. She joined the team a little over a year ago. And to be honest, the first year probably looked a lot like everybody else's does, right? She was putting the work, showing up consistently, doing open houses every single weekend, working her leads, but the lag measures, the results, they weren't necessarily matching the efforts. And so I know that probably feels familiar for a lot of people. But what's so special about what Jennifer did, or should I say didn't do, is she didn't quit. And so while other agents that I'm hearing and I'm talking to, they're starting to throw in the towel or look for shortcuts, you, Jennifer, you doubled down. Like you've committed to more activity and especially open houses. And every single week you're there refining your skills, getting better and better. So fast forward through all that. And in the last just 6 weeks, you've contracted 5 homes and your year-to-date sales volume is 5.5 million. Plus, you've signed up 5 investment partner accounts. And so what I think is just so cool and so amazing is you just made the leap full-time into real estate. You had that part-time job with CNC and you now just announced, hey, I'm going full-time. This is going to be, I've reached that point where I'm ready. And so we're in this market where sellers are stubborn because they think it's 2021. Buyers are nervous because high prices, market volatility, high interest rates, even though they've gone down a little bit, they're still really high. We've set record lows in sales the last 3 years. And this year, most agents haven't sold a house yet. So I think this is so cool because this isn't a story about overnight success or some magic bullet. It's about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's about staying consistent when others want to quit. And it's about having a safety net that's allowed you to like focus without having financial pressure. And so today I have lots and lots of questions for Jennifer, and we'll probably go the full time because I have a lot of questions. But also, all of you, I want you guys to be able to ask questions as well. So I'm done on my soapbox. Let's focus on Jennifer now. So Jennifer, let's start kind of at the beginning, and not the beginning of time, but just the beginning of this little phase that we're talking about. You were working on building your business in real estate earlier in the year, like the beginning of the year. You took a job with CNC part time. Like, what does that balance look like for you? How have you been able to transition out of that? And what does your schedule look like? And how did you really make time for what you knew to be the most important things and activities to take care of in real estate?
It's a great question. And I would say at first, there's no balance. I was trying to come in with like, okay, I'm going to have this balance of like taking care of my home and my family and myself and my real estate. And that wasn't working. And I had to put myself full time into taking whatever hours it took. And that meant from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. If I needed to be working, I was working. I only take half a day off, which is Wednesday mornings. And thankfully, Kevin had said, I know you're looking for that work-life balance. It's not going to happen at the beginning of the career. Go ahead and just focus on your momentum. And so I've been focusing on my momentum, just doing whatever it takes instead of being like, oh, I'm tired and I think I deserve a break. That's not going to get me anywhere because it didn't succeed previously. So right now it's like, how much can I grind and how much can I hustle?
I love that. I love that so much. So when we have like a balanced job, we tend to live a balanced life. And I think a lot of us have bigger goals than just balance, right? And if we're not uncomfortable, then we're probably not growing. And that's so cool that you recognize that and just double down and went harder and realizing that if you want the results, you need the activity to match it. And there will be a season of life where you can have balance, but the beginning probably is not then, right?
That's right. And consistency. It's not necessarily working harder, but just consistently staying on task and using everything that you can to keep you on task.
Yes. Absolutely. Like when we go to the gym, we don't get a six pack because we go work out for 4 hours one day, right? I wouldn't know what that's like, but but I hear to get a six pack, you have to work out consistently. Too funny. You bring up the consistency, and I think that's like one of the most important things that you really do extremely well. And so, how did you manage to stay so consistent for long periods of time, 6 to 8 months, without seeing that immediate success? Like, what was different about your mindset to get you to have that consistency to stick with it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's exactly the answer is mindset. It wasn't about, I'm going to work harder and I'm going to keep showing everybody what a great agent. It was, I had to change my concept of who I was and say, I'm already here. I'm already doing it. I'm already successful as a realtor. So there's a lot of agents who work hard and don't make the money. So just recognizing that I'm already there and it's going to happen in time. It is a long game. And you can't give up after 6 months. I did that at the beginning of my career when I first got my license. I gave it a good full-time 6 months and went broke, and I didn't know what else to do, so I went back full-time in property management. And so knowing that I had to push past the uncomfortability and not knowing where the deal was going to get and change my mindset, it made a huge difference in the way I showed up with my clients and my open houses and everything.
I love that. And I hear you talk about, like, you don't say the word manifest a lot, but like it's what you're doing is manifesting, right? And so where does that come from? Like where did you get that mindset from?
I realized, that like there's so much abundance around us, and am I not also available to have this? So where is that lack mentality coming from inside of me? And I had to like start shifting to look for it in everything. And so like when I did not have any deals and I was 5 months behind on my rent, I recognized I still had a roof over my head. I had people, letting me pull weeds in their backyard for gas money so I could show clients homes. I had people giving me firewood to keep my house warm. I had abundance. I was cared for. I had food. And so take that mentality with me and say, just keep going past this uncomfortability, because this is setting you up for being able to handle it when you've got 4 in escrow, because you know that you've calmed your nervous system to handle stressful situations. And so that's, I think what that grind was me learning how to calm my nervous system so that when the success comes, as opposed to the adversities, I'm able to handle it without breaking down and like ruining my own success.
That gave me butterflies right there. That was pretty awesome. To be able to like pull within and dig deep and to really already see yourself in that moment and have gratitude in the times of like the greatest weakness is a lot of character strength. And I think definitely the reason why you're finding the success you are now. So like that is so freaking cool. We're getting wows, amazings. Yeah, that's really
Gratitude is the Cadillac of all emotions, and I take that with me to everything before I go to the open house. I'm grateful that I have the car to get me there. I'm grateful for the opportunity to meet new people, and I just stay curious and grateful. Hey, I'm so glad that you came in today. I'm curious what brought you out, and just stay in that mentality of curiosity and gratitude. And I'm starting to see people call me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So you bring up the open houses. And so I brought up already the consistency. So you've had a lot of consistency, especially with open houses. So tell us about that commitment a little bit. Like, how often are you doing them? And why have you chosen that as one of your primary lead pillars?
Yeah, I do them every weekend, and sometimes 2 or 4 a weekend. And I chose that as my lead pillar because I didn't grow up in this area. I don't know everybody's grandmothers, neighbors, whatever. And so for me, I'm pretty great on the phone, but I think energetically I have a better connection when people meet me in person. So how else better to meet people besides the dog park, is to show up at the open house and have them sense, are your energy, are you somebody they want to work with? And so I felt like that was the best opportunity for me to meet people, was that. And yeah, it's not everybody wants to do it. And at first I didn't even know what to do with myself when I was at the open house. And now I've got business to do while I'm there. And yeah, that's why I chose that.
Yeah. So you said like at first you didn't know what to do with yourself. And it's funny, like you got the consistency, you got the repetition down, and now it's second nature, right? Now it's something you got kind of look forward to doing because you know you've become good at them, right? It didn't start that way, it started uncomfortable, but through repetition, through consistency, through practice, It's become a focus. So I want to focus in on something that you said though. So how many per weekend are you doing?
2 to 4.
2 to 4. Like, I think that's really important for people to hear, because I hear from a lot of real estate agents, they want to make $100,000 in real estate this year. And then I ask them, well, what's your plan for prospecting? Do you want to do calls, open houses, or work your sphere really hard? A lot of people say open house, and they say, awesome. Like, how often are you going to do it? And the number one answer I hear from that is, I'm thinking once per month. Right? And you just made that face, and I think that's great, because can you kind of talk about that, like how much more effort it takes than probably people think?
Yeah. So there's a lot of agents out there that have their license, and there's not a lot of agents making money. They say like 10% of the agents are making 90% of the money. And so if I want to be one of those 10%, then I've got to be the people that other agents know.
Yep.
They want to work with me because they know me. And so they might take my client's offer over someone else that they don't know. And I guess just getting good at something because you're consistently doing it. So I'm going to get better at an open house if I'm doing 2 to 4 a weekend, as opposed to if I'm doing once a month and I don't know, what to do with myself while I'm there.
Yeah, it's Groundhog's Day every day, every time you do it, if you only do it once per month. So it's also like really apparent if you see those 10% that are making the 90% that you mentioned. If you go look at their schedules, you see more than one open house per month on those schedules, for all of them. So really cool stuff. What does your open house strategy look like? So like, walk us through kind of like your typical open house. You mentioned like your little opening script of staying curious, but kind of tell us what you do in preparation and what you're trying to accomplish when you're there.
I will print out some flyers for the home just so I have something to give them. I know not everybody does that. It seems to work for me right now. I have a sign-in sheet that says sign in for off-market opportunities. And then I have one of the non-agency open house forms for them to sign. I don't force it anymore. I kind of just get more curious about why they're here. And anyways, I set up anywhere between 4 to 8 signs, and get to the house early, turn on all the lights, make it comfortable. I don't bring cookies anymore because I gained 50 pounds that last year. Just sitting in open houses that nobody was coming in eating cookies. So I don't bring cookies or snacks or anything like that anymore. I have some music going. I usually have some sort of like really mellow jazz, something that feels pleasant, good energy, that someone could see themselves living in this house in a calm environment. So I have that going. Yeah, I dress with a smile. I try to, show up early and make sure that I'm prepared for when they come in.
That's a great preparation. So you're creating basically a welcoming environment, right? And you're setting yourself to win by having flyers, by having an opportunity for people to sign in, but not pushing it. You're using a nice little hook by making it about off-market opportunities instead of making it about you. So it's kind of making a sign-up sheet that's making it about them, right? You have a non-agency form, but you don't push it. So you're prepared though, if you do need to do it. You're setting out ample enough signs, used to cookies, not so much, and then getting music going. Right. So now I'm a buyer. I walk into the open house. You said it before, but let's kind of talk a little bit more about this. What do you say to me when I first walk in?
Hi, welcome in. My name is Jennifer. If you have any questions, what's your name?
Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. What brought you in today? Did you see my signs or did you find us online?
Perfect. So we don't do the full role play. I won't put you on the spot. Okay. So we have a little discussion now. When you go, now it's time to like move to the next transition. Are you touring me or are you setting me up to look around myself?
I usually just, also I say, do you live in the neighborhood or are you hoping to?
Oh,
uh,
nice.
I'll give a little breakdown of the home and I say, go ahead and take a look around, and I'll be in the kitchen. So if you have any questions or you want to talk about this home or any others, I'll be there. I try to take the pressure off of following them around.
Yep. I love that. I know for myself, when I walk into open houses and I have an agent trying to on my heels the whole time, it makes me feel anxious. And so I love that you're like creating a relationship, creating conversation, but then also giving space. And then,
A couple of things, I'm sorry, that I do prepare for my open houses. I have the team put together some social media for me that I can post that says I'm doing that. And I don't know if it works or not, but it doesn't hurt to try. And also I get on MLS every day and I see what the new listings are. So if there's something comparable or in the area that I think that, when I ask them about the house afterwards, if it's not for them, I can say, well, there's the other one around the corner. Have you seen that? Or would you be interested in this 123 Main Street. I can take you afterwards if you'd like.
I love it. So the social post, even if it's not driving traffic to your open house, which it might, but what it is doing for sure is creating social proof. And it's proof over promise. It's showing that you're active in the market, you're active in real estate, and you're associating yourself with these properties. And so I think that's amazing that you're very good. I see how consistent you are with that. And I think that's incredible because I see other people do it, but just not as consistent as you do. So kudos on that. And then I think the second thing you just mentioned is probably the most important thing, right? Because yes, we're here to sell the house, but also the reality is it's not going to be the perfect house for everybody, right? So you have to be prepared for what might be. And so I love that you're doing that. Anything else on open houses that you want to share before we transition to something else?
I think one of the things that you were going to ask me about was like how has that been working for you so far? So last September is when I think I had a huge mindset shift about how I'm going to show up.
Okay.
Letting people have a good experience as opposed to trying to sell this house. And since then, I've had actually people calling me and saying, we want to write an offer. So I've written a few and I've lost a few. And it wasn't until just 3 weeks ago that my first like open house lead actually closed. So
nice.
That's a long game. That's a huge long game.
Yeah. So you said like last September, right?
So last September is when I was doing the one in South Salinas, and I have a couple of clients I'm still nurturing from there, but I did the one on Forest last weekend, and that guy called me. I never got his contact information. I've already written 2 offers for him. We're going to go look at another one today that we wrote the offer without even looking at it. So it's starting to come where they're contacting me now.
Wow. That's so amazing. That's so cool. And I think that's important for people to know when they're doing open houses, because I think that's why it's so hard to stay consistent doing them, is because you do an open house because you think you're going to have that experience where somebody walks in and writes an offer on that house. And yes, it's possible, but it's not the norm. And so like what I've seen on our team is that a lead on average from open houses takes, like what you said, 7 to 9 months in order to actually transact. And in real estate sales, that's actually a pretty common timeline for people, is when they're in that research phase to be actually going to a point where they're writing offers. So I think maybe too many people get in that mindset of like, hey, I'm going to get this one person who's going to write offers right away. And yes, it can happen, but it doesn't mean that you have that expectation every single time. So did you notice with your open house consistency, have you noticed like the trends of the market? Like, did you feel in April, May, when we were having a lot of market volatility, were you seeing less traffic at your open houses?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I personally lost like 4 clients that I was actively working with that were actively getting their writing offers and getting their loans and everything. And I actually got pretty depressed for a couple of weeks, and I had to snap myself out of it and say, you know what, there's $5 million buyers around here that are paying all cash. Find them.
Find them. Right. Exactly. And now that rates are coming down and the market's becoming a little less volatile, are you seeing traffic kind of pick back up yet?
Yes, for sure. I know that my phone is ringing a lot, and I know I'm seeing a lot more traffic in the open houses, depending on the location, depending on, if it's priced accordingly. And, some places are just for people to look at, and they just want to look, and they're so curious. But yes, all in all, I'm seeing a little bit more of an uptick after like our slow April, everything kind of slammed to a halt.
Yes, it was not the best for seasonality because a lot of people list during April and May. That's typically the best time to list. But then when you had so much volatility in the market during that same period, people were scared, and rightfully so. We didn't know what was going to happen during that time. And so it was a tough time for sure for the seasonality of everything. So transitioning off of open houses, let's talk a little bit more about online leads. So specifically Zillow. You on Zillow, you run at a lower initial appointment set and initial met rate on new leads than most members of our team, but run at also the highest conversion rate. Did you know that?
I didn't.
You are doing something a little bit different than other people are doing in the very beginning at the top of the funnel. What are those difficult initial questions that you're asking to minimize time wasters?
I try to qualify them as much as possible with their timeline and get to a little bit of the root of why they're looking, why they need to see something today. A lot of times, we live in an area that is a vacation area. So you get a lot of people who just were like in town on vacation and they're curious and they just want to see a home and have wasted a lot of time and gas money running around people who really aren't serious. So I think clarity, yeah, thanks for recognizing that clarity, getting clarity and having the courage to ask for clarity has made a huge difference in whether I'm going to waste my time or not. And just kind of like weeding out and getting to their real motivation.
Have you identified like maybe one or two questions that you asked to help to get that initial motivation clarity?
Well, I mean, I can ask them what their timeline looks like and why did they decided now is the time to start looking. I can also ask them, okay, so maybe you're a little ways off, but if you saw something right now, would you be ready to move forward, or are we still just in the beginning stages of looking? And that also helps me to decide, like, do I need to drop everything and go show them a house today, or can I say, all right, well, let's just get to know some neighborhoods. I'll put together a few, and this can be one, and then we'll not waste our time with like just seeing the one house. So
Yeah.
trying to stack a little bit more opportunity in there if I am going to meet them.
Okay. Well, I challenge you to put even more thought into that specific thing of what you're doing to avoid time wasters, because the biggest negative that I hear about Zillow leads is the time wasters, right? And so I think you figured out how to get clarity on a high level and how to really invest your time in a smart way. And so I want to know what that specifically is. I don't think you've realized how good you've gotten at it.
No. I mean, I see that I'm top of the leaderboard, but I didn't realize I was like lowest at appointment set.
Not lowest. You're like middle of the pack, right? Middle of the pack. But you're doing something on the front end that's preventing you from spending a lot of time with people that aren't the right people.
Not being afraid to stay on the phone. At first, when I first got Zillow calls, like, back at the beginning of last year, I was just trying to like hurry up and make the appointment and see them in person because I thought I'm just going to see them in person and they're going to like me. And that has been, I need to know my time is valuable and show them that my time is valuable. And so when I hold myself in a better esteem, I'm not running around just opening doors for people. And so I think that's what made me not be afraid to stay on the phone just a little bit longer with them and get a little bit more clarification and not worry about, well, Zillow wants you to be done in a certain amount of time. This is my career.
Yep.
Thank you, Zillow. I appreciate the lead, but this is my career and I'm not going to waste my time just opening doors because I was getting very resentful and I thought, well, I'm the one that makes the change.
Right.
Same leads.
Yeah. I think it's that right there is staying on the phone longer. Like we see people on the phone for like a minute and a half. And I don't think that's long enough for you to identify whether somebody is serious or not, or if this is somebody who you should, like you said, invest your time with, right? Yes, Zillow has invested money in the introduction, but you're going to invest your time in the relationship. And so it's amazing that you've gotten protective over that and know your worth as well. And so a lot of things that I hear about in the market, like if you go on social media or watch YouTube videos, a lot of people I'm hearing say what a great buyer's market this is. But I'm not necessarily in agreement with everything I hear on social media right now, because I see prices are up, I see inventory is up, and I see interest rates are down a little bit, but not a ton, right? Not to like actually make a significant difference on affordability. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing differently in your follow-up, in your conversations to give people the confidence in this market?
Well, I'm letting them know that a lot of my buyers are finding success in asking seller credit to buy down their interest rate. So just because they have done an online calculator that tells them what they can afford doesn't mean that that's exactly what kind of house we can get. So I encourage them to have a conversation with a lender. And I talk to them about the successes I've had with other clients, what the strategy is to make those offers in order to get that seller credit. Not everybody wants to take that advice. Everybody thinks they know what they want to do. But if you're hiring me, then I'm going to coach you and I'm going to guide you. And I'm learning I have to just write up what you want me to write up too. I've learned a lot of hard lessons in the last 18 months. But if I take it all as a lesson, as opposed to beating myself up for it, then I'm just one step, closer to the goal.
That's so amazingly said, is take it all a lesson. Take it all as a lesson. It's so amazing. You're being a coach, you're being a guide. Like think of these like key terms that you're saying about yourself. These are not things that you say about a door opener, right? Nobody who is a coach or a guide for their clients is willing to be also a door opener. And so you're utilizing specifically the buy down strategy to get them into that point where, because what we've heard, what we've seen is people want to be in that 5% or lower range, right? And so you're specifically using this buy down to get them there. Is that right?
Yeah. And everybody wants a deal. And if you're like, I know how we can get you a good deal on this.
Yeah.
And the buyer and the seller feels like they're not losing the value in their home, then you've kept the value of the home by keeping the sales price high. And I explained to them also that, your payments are going to be lower with buying down your interest rate as opposed to just lowballing the seller and offending them.
Yep. A lot of people care about what goes on to Zillow or Redfin after it sells because their friends and family will see it, right? So there's a lot of pride in that. So when you utilize a seller credit, nobody really knows about that, and so it protects their pride and it gets them ultimately what they want is to sell their home, right? So let's play out the scenario because I love that you brought this up. Let's play out the scenario. So you right now are able to help your clients get an interest rate in the 5%-ish range because you help them with a seller credit getting a buy down. If interest rates then go down to that 5% range, what's going to happen to the prices of homes?
Well, they're going to go up.
They're going to go up. They're going to go up pretty rapidly, right? The market's going to catch fire. And so your buyers who are getting this advantage right now with you as their coach and their guide, are winning huge. And when, not if, but when this happens, you're going to make them a boatload of money too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty special. It's pretty cool that you're utilizing that so strongly.
I also let them know that we're not, even though there are a lot more buyers coming in the market, it's nothing like we're going to see in the fall when you're going to be competing against 15, 20 other offers. You might be up against 3 or 4 right now. So why would you wait?
Yep.
Maybe interest rates will go up. Yes, your house price will go up as well if rates go down, excuse me. But you can't refinance if you already have a lower rate and a higher home price. It doesn't make any sense. Or this just seems like the perfect opportunity for a smart investor to come in now.
Very well said. Very well said. I have a question in the chat that's in alignment with this as well. So Tasha asks, do you ask if they're loan qualified or pre-qualified or cash buyers? At what point are you asking that question?
So, I guess it depends on where I meet them and how soon I think they're ready to write the offer. But I think the question that seems to work is, how did you plan on paying for the house? Will it be cash or have you already spoken to a lender? And, sometimes they're like, oh, I haven't thought about it yet. Or I already have a lender. I then still ask them, would you be open to speaking to a local lender that I've worked with that I know will close on time? We really work well as a team. And then I explained to them that, it doesn't hurt your credit score to shop around for the same type of loan within the same 6 months, as long as you're not getting other types of credit dings, that this is completely normal. And and I expect you to look for the best product for you and your family.
So I love that answer so much because you didn't have I always ask it at this point. It was I go off the feel of the relationship and how that conversation's flowing, right? Like some people, it might be within the first couple of minutes because they start talking about budget. And if somebody starts talking about budget, right? So then that means they're comfortable. Let's talk budget. And let's talk money, right? And then if they're somebody who's a little bit more guarded and you don't see the body language turn towards you, if it's away or crossed arms, you're not bringing up uncomfortable conversations right off the bat. You're letting them ease into it a little bit. So I love that you're going based off of feel, not off of this is the checkpoint.
Yeah, sometimes the second house or the second day of showing is when I'll start getting into more of the financials about that.
Yeah, and because you've earned the right at that time, right? You've earned that relationship capital to have those little bit tougher conversations. It's like dating or anything like this, right? We have to warm people up before we ask them to get married. And so yeah, really, really well done. Being able to read people is so important. So you've now sold and have pended 9 homes totaling $5.5 million. Plus, you have these 5 investment partner signups I mentioned. When did you feel the momentum shift? Was there a specific moment that you realized things were clicking?
I think it was last September that I started noticing things were clicking, but and I was writing offers with some of those clients, but I actually didn't start making money. I got my first listing signed in December of last year, and it was after 2 days of devastation. I'm like, okay, I'm 5 months behind on my rent. I have been working almost a full year on this and I don't know what else to do. And I was like, all right, I surrender. I surrender. What do I need to let go of? And it was like, get a part-time job, because I still had commission breath, even though I didn't think I did. I still did. And so I needed to actually prime the pump and see the money start coming into my account somehow. And so having the part-time job was like tremendous, with seeing that money just start to come in. It's like, okay, I know I have the ability to make money, and this money is going to help me attract more money. And that's kind of like my mantra right now. My money attracts more money.
I love it. I love it. So what does that look like from like a time management standpoint? Because I think that's one of the kisses of death, is like losing your immediate focus on your goals. So how do you manage not losing focus on the primary prize when you're doing that?
So I think at first, when I would get a lead and I'd start working with them, I'm like, this is great. And I'd put all my effort into this one lead. And then when it ended or fell apart, I felt like I was starting over. And it was always lots of fits and starts and fits and starts. After having done that for a little bit, I realized it doesn't matter what I've got in my hand right now. I need to keep continuing to pack my pipeline and find out who's going to be next to write offers, who's going to be next to start showing homes. Because when I lost those 4 clients in April, I was like, are you kidding me? And I thought, you just stay always on it. Know who your next person is that you're nurturing, and, who have you made a good connection with, that it's time again. I just reached out to an open house lead that I met at my very first open house on Outlook Trail.
Wow.
And I saw that he was active looking at homes, and he's like, yeah, I remember you. You've been keeping in touch. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk to my family, and we'll talk about, and he's got a Pebble Beach home that we would trade. And so, it pays to be consistent, and just don't give up on yourself.
Yes. That's pretty incredible to have a lead that you got about a year and a half ago. Is that about a year and a half ago? And somebody who recognized that you stayed consistent, and for them to say that and call that out, like that's pretty special, pretty great validation, like that you're on the right track doing the right things.
Yeah. They're not answering my texts, but they're paying attention.
They're paying attention.
So
Exactly.
that's what I'm noticing, is like, I thought I was just going to like show up and people are going to like me and they're write offers and make money. And it's really, people pay attention to your character, how you handle them. Are you consistent? Do you follow through? Do you stay on top of things? Or, are you just looking for the low hanging fruit?
Exactly. You didn't tell this person that you're speaking of, hey, I'm consistent. Hey, I follow through. You showed him through your habits, through your work ethic, through the things that you did. So that's pretty special. It's pretty great. I think it's so insightful that you're just so focused on lead generation as the number one thing in your business, right? Like, you can't control what happens sometimes at the bottom of the funnel. You can't control the tariffs go into place, or the world gets flipped upside down, but you can control how often you're feeding the funnel. And so you're controlling what you can control and letting the rest help. And like you said, surrendering the rest, right? That's pretty
I'm in the
special.
action business, and I let the universe be in the outcome business, and it's not my business anymore.
Ooh, that's a great soundbite right there. Okay, so what does the daily routine look like now? Like, what are the main non-negotiables that you do every single day?
In the morning, I have quiet time and I focus on what I'm going to do. And I read some inspirational, very spiritual, anything that can help me out of being in this like mindset, and more out here, the bigger picture mindset. And then just preparing myself mentally to like, how can I show up today, bringing the essence of me in a channel to be authentic when I show up. That's it. That's the beginning of my day. And then I have action partners that I set the evening before. I say, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. These are the three big things I'm going to do. And maybe this is the most important thing. And then at the end of the evening, we check in again. Okay, did you do these things? And if I haven't, before I check in, maybe I could do them really quick. And then set aside what I'm going to do the next day. So setting my day the night before helps. And if there's a phone call that I need to make, like, it's easy to remember appointments when you're showing up to a house, but phone calls sometimes slip my mind. So I'm using my alarm on my phone and setting a specific alarm 2 minutes before, hey, call Joe Blow or whatever. So I don't miss those opportunities. So anything that I can do to keep me on track, because I got a lot going on in my mind, and I'm a little behind on my CRM, but the things that are the most important, as long as I focus on that and don't beat myself up for the little misses, I think that's really important with mindset. Is you could say like, oh, I did these things and I focused all day, but the one thing I didn't do, and then you're beating yourself up and you're wanting to give up. Okay, lesson learned, you'll get to it tomorrow, but what are the good things that you did? And just recognize your own consistency, recognize your own good habits, and let your ego focus on those things.
So much great stuff right there. That's kind of a masterclass on mindset. How long have you been doing that schedule with the morning routine and the evening routine? When did that start?
Maybe 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah. Have you noticed a massive change in getting things done since you've been doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had other people that I've worked with and they've fallen off, and I have found someone who's pretty consistent with that. We check in 3 times a week for a 15-minute call. And then every evening we do those check-ins.
So you're doing this with an accountability buddy too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing. I know for myself, right now I'm in a season that I'm not staying consistent with that, and I feel the difference. And this was a good reminder for me to that I feel the best when I'm doing those things. And that's really cool that you're even going as far as doing an accountability buddy with that, because I think that's something where people feel like it should be only done alone, but then it's easier to let yourself down if you're only doing it alone.
And I'm going to say that's a huge thing, that I've allowed myself to let the team help me. At first, I was like, I have to do all the contracts. I've got to do all the things myself. I've got to be in control because this is my business. And I realized I keep other people employed when I have them helping me. And isn't that wonderful to know that they get to feed their families because I'm employing their services? And I don't have to do this alone. I'm on a team for a reason. And so why wouldn't I lean into that? So yes, I learned by doing things alone, but I've also been able to handle more by relying upon the team really heavily. I can just text or, like a voice to email, hey, please send out this contract to these people, da, 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 da. And then I don't have to spend 15, 20 minutes logging in and making sure I don't get the right checkbox. I know that there are people who are trained to do this, and taking advantage of that has been really helpful.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Bree gave some love, saying you're so inspiring, resilient, fearless.
Amazing.
I'm so
I don't know how I do anything without Bree, right? I have to
I
say.
love working with you. Yeah, so cool, so cool. It's clear to see you guys are working really well together. So that's awesome to see. That's awesome. Another thing that you said was that I think is really important is don't beat yourself up on the little misses. The same question. Like when did you realize that?
Yeah, it was probably sometime at the end of last year when I was getting really discouraged. Like I said, I've got mentors and I've got action partners, and one of my mentors said, why don't you, before you go to bed, why don't you write a list of all the things that you have done good? Start there. Instead of, because I would go to bed and be frustrated, and I just think of the one thing that I messed up, and it was just like that proof to my ego that like, you're not going to make it. This isn't for you. And so shifting my mindset from seeing what I've done good, shifting my mindset of seeing that like it's all out there for me to grab. If I know that I'm worthy, I'm freaking worthy to do this. So are all of you. Like, you're here, you showed up, you made a commitment. Keep that commitment to yourself as long as possible and say, I'm going to do this until they drag my bloody body away and say no. Other than that, like, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to not give up.
Keep that commitment to yourself. That's amazing. So if you could go back and talk to yourself 18 months ago and kind of questioning everything, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to that person 18 months ago?
That's a great question. And I don't know if I have an answer for that. You're right where you're supposed to be. It couldn't be any other way than what it is.
You're right where you're supposed to be.
If it could be any different, it would be. So just take it as like everything is here to help you.
Yeah. Relish the moment. You're right where you're supposed to be. Yeah. I love that so much. Well, guys, Jennifer has dropped some amazing knowledge on us, like some of the best mindset training I've actually ever heard, which is incredible. I'm talking about like all the famous motivators. Jennifer has showed them up today with some amazing mindset tools, mindset hacks. incredible stuff. She's also gone really tactical with us on exactly what to do at open houses, exactly what to do with Zillow leads. And I've written so many notes down. If you guys could drop in the chat some wins from what you've learned today, some of the things that maybe you're going to take from it, or just some love for Jennifer from everything she shared. And as everyone's dropping that in the chat, Jennifer, if you could just, one last question is, how do people connect with you and follow your journey more? And what's one final piece of advice that you'd give to agents who want to build what you're now in the process of building?
So you can get hold of me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Real Jennifer Titus. And one thing I would just leave you with is like, do whatever you have to do to fix that mindset issue that's keeping you stuck. Because I see the agents that aren't making it have a lot of self-doubt. And so find that way to heal whatever it is, outside therapy, modalities, mushrooms, whatever you got to do to change your mindset. Work on changing your mindset, because if you're committed to doing this, then you're going to succeed. Just don't give up on yourself.
I'm super happy we didn't make it the whole hour without a mushroom comment.
I know we're recording us.
No, I think it's amazing.
It.
I'm super happy we didn't make it through the whole hour. So just, Jennifer, just kind of give you some of the things people are saying. Love that all in energy. Amazing. Wow. Abundance mindset brings more abundance. Wonderful advice. Thank you, Jennifer. Love the off-market sign-in sheet. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you setting the stage for an open house. Curiosity and clarity. Be consistent with what you do best and celebrate the small wins. Consistency, you're killing it. Stay positive, get yourself back on track when things get tough. I was running around a lot too. A bit more qualifying is key on the phone. Thanks for validating that. And you're so inspiring. Thank you for being candid. Thank you for not beating yourself is so important. Such an awesome attitude about it. Awesome job, Titus. You're amazing, Jennifer. Currently getting my mindset situated with how my schedule is. This was very much appreciated and helpful. Thank you so much. I'm going to work on my phone on qualifying. Thanks, Titus. 4+ open houses per weekend. Thank you, Jennifer. We love you, and thank you for sharing. You're amazing. You're right where you're supposed to be. Wait, mushrooms? Awesome energy and mindset. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on today and being, like they said, so candid, such an open book, and sharing so much of yourself with us here today. Like I said, I learned a lot. I wrote down a ton of notes. I hope you all learned as much as I did. And for you, Jennifer, like, I'm just so proud of the progress you've made, the commitment that you've made. And it's just so cool now seeing the universe reward you for all the things that you've done right over the last 18 months.
Yeah, I just had to get out of my own way. I'm also always available for role play. Even if I don't answer the phone right away, like, you can just jump right into role play with me. Give me a call and be like, hey, so I saw you are calling about 123 Main Street. I'll play with you. Like, trust me, I love that. So call me.
Love it. That is so kind. And Kevin said, role play is so clutch. Well, awesome. Well, have a great rest of the day, everybody. And as always, reach out if you guys need any help or have any questions. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Kyle. Thanks, everybody.